Fredman Wilson shivered in shock at what his mother said. Because he offended that pauper Charlie, not only did he not save him, but he wanted to make a clean break with his family? This old thing was blinded by Charlie's medicine, right? He was full of resentment, but he could only say to Behua Wilson, "Mom, that old dog with the surname She is not a good thing." Behua Wilson gritted her teeth and cursed, "I don't care what you do. On my 84th birthday, Tianchi must come to Eastcliff to check my body and diagnose and treat my problems. Otherwise, I will not forgive you." Many people are more selfish as they get older. The older you are, the more you are afraid of death, and the more you want to live longer. Therefore, Behua Wilson doesn't want to know why Fredman Wilson and Tianchi are in conflict. She just wants Tianchi to continue to be a health doctor for herself. With him as a health doctor, it is no problem to live to be over 90 years old, but without him, she may not even be able to pass this year's hurdle. Fredman Wilson was also depressed. He wanted to explain and complain, but Behua Wilson didn't give him a chance at all. After giving the order hard, she immediately hung up the phone. Fredman Wilson smashed the room angrily, and then finally gritted her teeth and picked up the phone to call Tianchi, trying to use repentance and pleading to ask him to continue to see his mother. But Tianchi's cell phone was turned off. This made Fredman Wilson even more angry. But no way, he dared not disobey his mother's orders, so he dressed in embarrassment, went downstairs, and drove to Tianchi's clinic. When the car arrived at the gate of the clinic, it was already closed. Fredman Wilson gritted his teeth at the door but saw two figures walking out of the darkness not far away. One of them limped and seemed a bit familiar. So Fredman Wilson hurriedly hid to the side and observed it secretly. As the two people approached, he saw that it was a middle-aged man in his 50s with a young man in his 20s. The 20-something young man was leaning on a cane in one hand and a huge green oil drum in the other. There are already some defeated middle-aged people next to him, holding the lame young man in one hand and carrying the same green oil drum in the other. Fredman Wilson recognized the young man. When he came to see Tianchi for treatment today, the young man was being driven out by the pharmacy. It seems that this guy is seeking no cure and is about to set fire to Tianchi's clinic. The two people who came were Junwei Gao, who had pretended to be forced by Charlie in the hospital before and was finally thrown down from the third floor by Mr. Orville. Junwei Gao left his legs with sequelae and became lame. He hated Charlie in his heart. He wanted to find Tianchi to heal the injury before going to Charlie to settle the account, but he didn't expect Tianchi to directly prevent him from entering the door. He returned to the hospital and complained to his father Jianjun Gao. The two were too angry, so they bought 2 barrels of gasoline and wanted to burn Tianchi's clinic. The two people's plan was to set the clinic on fire, teach Tianchi a little lesson, and then find a way to find Charlie for revenge. Fredman Wilson heard Junwei Gao say to Jianjun Gao at this time, "Dad, you said that the old master named Shi can't live in the clinic?" "How do I know?" Jianjun Gao said coldly. "Well, he can't live here, he just burned him by a fire." DMN, FC King with me, it's D*MN. Junwei Gao gritted his teeth angrily, and said, "This surname Shi, he couldn't save him. It would be cheaper to burn him to death with a fire." After that, he opened the gasoline tank and said to Jianjun Gao next to him, "Dad, I think I will pour the gasoline in through the rolling shutter, let the gasoline be fully spread inside, and then make a fire outside to ensure that there are even cockroaches inside can't live." Jianjun Gao nodded, snorted coldly, and said, "Okay. Burn them to death." Although Jianjun Gao's strength is not top-notch in Orus Hill, it is not top-notch, but when it comes to doting on his son, he is really the number one in Orus Hill. This old grandson's ancestors have been singles for several generations. He has given birth to several daughters in a row, and he has such a baby bump as Junwei Gao. Naturally, he has been spoiled since childhood. When Junwei Gao was in elementary school, he was beaten with a ruler on the palm by his teacher's hand because of his poor study and class trouble. Jianjun Gao took someone to the school and broke the teacher's right arm, leaving him disabled for life. When Junwei Gao was in junior high school, he suffered a lot from fighting with others at school. Jianjun Gao directly hired someone to knock his classmate who beat his son into a vegetable. Such examples are countless in Junwei Gao's growth process. In the eyes of Jianjun Gao, anyone who bullies his son will end up dead. Tianqi wouldn't heal his son's legs, d*mn it. That Charlie actually harmed his son to look like what he is today, even more d*mn it. Therefore, he planned to burn Tianqi to death today, and then according to the planned plot tomorrow, he would kill Charlie. Fredman Wilson saw that the two of them were really going to set fire to Tianqi's clinic, and might even burn Tianqi to death. Suddenly he became anxious, and he did not hesitate to jump out and say to the two of them, 2. Impulse.